Dr. Greer has presented this to us at our last meeting, and we've asked some people from various agencies to come and discuss the issue with us. Tom, I see you are here.
This is actually new. Is there audio? There's a. I've addressed all of this. I think if we can just watch this 2 minutes and then we can address all of that.
Very
this
oxidant-rich mixture, and so the first concern is sort of the places it touches. So you know, in the past and at high levels, smog causes people's eyes to burn, their throat to be irritated, causes cough, causes a drop in lung function that fortunately reverses, at least on the short term. We've had a study going on here in my department for almost 20 years now, the Children's Health Study, that has tracked the health of thousands of children in relationship to their air pollution exposure, and smog being part of that mixture. And they found that certainly asthma can be worsened, perhaps asthma can be triggered by the smog, and we know that this mixture slows down lung growth of children. There's other data suggesting, and again, this is all being looked at right now because we're re-examining our ozone standard, suggesting that mortality is increased by higher levels of ozone.
So those of you who missed the last time I was here, for my company, I interviewed this person a couple months ago. He just published in the New England Journal on the Clean Air Act, the federal Clean Air Act. And I happened to be walking by when I saw that video that I took, and I realized that this is a federal issue, and I know that there's been various state attempts to regulate the noise and all the other problems with boats, but because they fall between interstate commerce, there's a lot of reasons nothing's been done. But the most powerful tool here is the federal Clean Air Act. Now, all of those questions you were talking about, to make a long story short, what's supposed to happen is this New York Waterway Company is supposed to add diesel particulate filters that will supposedly reduce that belching black smoke. The Coast Guard person wasn't correct. That's not normal. The other boats that operate that aren't New York Waterway don't have this problem. It's one company who's offending this, who's gotten away with it for whatever reason for decades. They can, with just it's just a pure cost issue. If they spend the money, they can filter those boats. And if you look at the external appearance of the boats, they're peeling paint. They just do not look safe. It's a company running a poor ship.
Right. Exactly.
And they are having toxic fumes to children's playgrounds 60 yards away from this. And it happens at a rush hour, nonstop. It's boat after boat after boat. So the federal EPA should have been here. I've contacted Mr. Ng. It's quite a disgrace that the federal EPA is not here. This is ridiculous. So if anything is going to be done, it's going to be Senator Gillibrand, Representative Nadler. That's my take on it. So
I've just been told that we have a representative here from Jerry Nadler's office, which is very good. And have you heard this whole discussion? I don't know when you came in.
Yeah, I've been here for the whole discussion.
So you know that we are going to contact Jerry. So if you would alert him to the fact that this is an issue.
We know Dr. Greer reached out to us, and so we've heard a little bit about it. I'm happy to hear the presentation here tonight. And what I can say is, and I think I can speak a little bit from my colleague in Senator Gillibrand's office, is that we'll try to get as many answers as we can right up front in terms of what the federal regulations at play are, where the jurisdiction lies. I don't know, frankly, whether tying up the boat would be something that would be regulated by the state or the federal government, where the regulations come into play.
And like was said, within 60 to 80 yards is the kids' playground, plus tons of greenery, which can't be doing so well from all that, including a little pond, a little duck pond.
the federal EPA said that if they do it for more than 6 minutes, then it's regulated under the Federal Clean Air Act. And I have extensive video where they do it for 12 minutes. So that's what they told me.
This has been an issue for a very, very long time, and nobody has done anything about it. So I think that it's now time for us to make sure that something happens on it.
The people who run the waterway, ferries and everything, this is the only man who has come to this meeting and has made sense. Because every time we've had the waterways with Billy Bay and everybody else here, they literally laughed at us over the fumes, over the noise. We'll take care of it. They do it. They do whatever they want every day.
But we did not get the federal government involved in it. Maybe that will give them a little push.
It was the council and it was the mayor who announced this, so the city has some role in this.
Well, that's Jeff's point, is that there's gonna be more, not
Yeah.
less of this going
Right.
on. And we need to get those people that on a day-to-day basis are signing contracts with these operators and that are leasing them space for landings, okay? So we need to have those agencies or those bodies involved in answering our concerns, because they're in our community. So move it. And we gotta really figure out what agencies can help us do that
What's
on
on
a
the
day-to-day
local
basis.
port authority to do what we're asking?
Threaten them.
Threat 'em. Our elected officials can apply a lot of pressure on them. They are a government agency.
There is a big push for clean diesel.
Yes. And they were responsive. It took some time and effort, but we did get the Port Authority, vis-a-vis the World Trade Center Committee of this board, to make major changes in the type of diesel that was being used on site and moving material in and out of that site for the last 10 years now. So we do have a track record of being able to work with the Port Authority. Not gonna say it's a slam dunk or easy, but we have the track record of getting them to respond to the community.
And now that Governor Christie is not running for president, he has the time to deal with this issue.
My point is that our problem is that terminal, and that terminal is owned by Port Authority. And Port Authority has a contract with that operator who's misbehaving in our neighborhood.
Right.
We need to fix that problem.
Right.
It is already one way in which the Port Authority is being engaged by this community board and the elected officials right now about the bus traffic for the memorial. And one of the fixes for the
Is more
bus
ferry
traffic
service.
is more ferry service. So there's a forum and an ongoing conversation that's
Good
already
point.
happening with the community board, so
This
we
needs to
might
be on
want to
that
think
agenda.
about putting it on that agenda as well.
Absolutely.
Just don't forget, the key angle here is that this is a genuine health problem to little children and their lungs. The level of pollution coming from those boats is like circa 1970 Los
Well,
Angeles.
have you ever measured it? Do you know that for a fact, or are you just making a statement?
I know how the engines work, and this is before the Clean Air Act in 1970 when you couldn't see a mile in Los Angeles. And that's, if you watch the whole video in the New England Journal article, back then, the health impact of this to kids, the mortality was very high back then.
Kinds of equipment and vehicles. I think we need to pursue the elected officials and all the federal regulations. We need to do the research about what regulations or standards exist today anyway. But clearly, I think our biggest target right now is to focus on the Port Authority. And
You may not like it, but it may not be a violation.
Is it because it's over water?
We have to start,
hang on for a second, hang on, I do need to interrupt. The emissions that came out of the trucks and the backhoes and all kinds of equipment on the World Trade Center met federal standards. We got the Port Authority to adhere to what we believed was inappropriate emissions. We can do the same thing here. Regardless of what the standard is, we need to tell the owner of that terminal who signs a contract with the operators there that we want low sulfur diesel fuel used, we want particular filters installed on all of these, and whatever else is appropriate, you can check with Catherine. But clearly, we need to tell them that situation needs to stop, regardless of what the standards are today.
I think all these suggestions are very good, but we have to remember one of the main reasons why, along with these others, why we decided to become green was economic. There are tax incentives to going green. There are tax incentives to low diesel fuel. There are tax incentives, and there are ways to retrofit where you can do it in an affordable way. As Anthony can attest to, one of the problems with turning to lower diesel fuel, or what was the safer number 2 fuel from 4 and 6. One of the reasons people haven't done that is because they're waiting for a new tax law or some way that makes it affordable. It's not just laws and it's not just badgering. It gets people to do things. Although laws can be very good, everyone recalls in history prohibition wasn't very successful. I mean, it's a special on Channel 13, sorry. But the point is that I'm sure, let's take a look at the law and see if there's some would this, this is a question I have for Steve, you must have looked into this. Is there a tax law that would allow them to save money or to earn better money on the boats if they retrofitted to a greener
Yeah.
engine?
I don't know that. I focused on the Clean Air Act, which doesn't deal with that.
Right, that's enforcement.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd like to take a look at that as a CPA. I think that's another avenue, and